Yahweh the God of heaven and the God of the earth, that thou shalt not take a wife unto my son of the daughters of the Canaanites, among whom I dwell, but thou shalt go unto my country and to my kindred, and take a wife unto my son Isaac. So in this verse, we are clearly told that Isaac is not to marry a Canaanite woman. That's very clear, folks. He is not to marry a Canaanite woman. Why? For the same reason that Yahweh sent the flood in the first place, to stop our people from race mixing with these fallen angels and other races that were in the territory at the time. Now we're going to continue with this theme in Genesis 25, verses 19 through 26. And these are the generations of Isaac, Abraham's son. Abraham begat Isaac, and Isaac was 40 years old when he took Rebekah to wife, the daughter of Bethuel, the Syrian of Padanaram, the sister to Laban the Syrian. These are the kinsfolk of Abraham and Isaac. And Isaac entreated to Yahweh for his wife because she was barren. And Yahweh was entreated of him, and Rebekah his wife conceived. And the children struggled together within her. And she said, If it be so, why am I thus? And you have to picture the fact that within her womb, Esau and Jacob, her future twin sons, were actually fighting with each other within her womb. That's why she is asking, If it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of the Lord. And the Lord said unto her, now listen very carefully to these words. 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels. And the one people shall be stronger than the other, and the elder shall serve the younger. And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. And the first came out red, all over like a hairy garment. And they called his name Esau. And after that came out his brother, and his hand took on hold of Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob. And Isaac was 80 years old when she bare them. Now remember, this verse is clearly telling us that 2 nations, 2 separate types of people are in thy womb, and the one shall be servant to the other. Now we know from the entire history of the Bible that Jacob, the younger, became the master or leader over Esau. Esau, in fact, sold his birthright to Jacob, as every Christian ought to know. And because he sold his birthright to Jacob, he became the servant of Jacob. So this is a clear prophecy of that eventuality. Now what happened here? Well, let's go into the where Esau sold his birthright. And the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field, and Jacob was a plain man, dwelling in tents. And Isaac loved Esau because he did eat of his venison. So Isaac loved Esau because of the food that he brought home. But Rebekah loved Jacob, and Jacob sod pottage. And Esau came from the field, and he was faint. And Esau said to Jacob, Feed me, I pray thee, with that same red pottage, for I am faint. Therefore was his name called Edom. Now we know that Esau's name was changed to Edom. And the land of Edom was always to the south of Judah, because the people of Judah are not the same as the people of Edom, folks. This is very important for you to know. And Jacob said, Sell me this day thy birthright. And Esau said, Behold, I am at the point to die. And what profit shall this birthright do me? So this is Esau saying, well, because I'm just about to die, I might as well sell my birthright. What good is it to me? Jacob did not steal or trick Esau out of the birthright. And we're plainly told, let me continue here. And Jacob said, Swear to me this day, and he sware unto him, and he sold his birthright unto Jacob. Then Jacob gave Esau bread and pottage of lentils, and he did eat and drink, and rose up and went his way. Thus Esau despised his birthright. We're clearly told that Esau despised his birthright, and the mere request by Jacob to sell him his birthright is not an evil thing, folks. That was not an evil deed, as many people, many pastors of Judeo-Christianity would have you believe. Okay, now in Genesis chapter 26, verse 35, again, continuing on this theme of race mixing, and the Bible teaches that race mixing is wrong. And Esau was 40 years old when he took to wife Judith, the daughter of Beeri, the Hittite, which is one of the Canaanite peoples, and Bashemath, the daughter of Elon, the Hittite, which were a grief of mind unto Isaac and Rebekah. Now remember, Abraham went to great pains to find Rebekah, a kinswoman of Isaac, so that he should marry a kinswoman instead of a Canaanite woman. Now here Esau is violating that very oath that Abraham had vowed that shouldn't happen, okay? And so after this incident, after Esau married these two Hittite women, now we're told in Genesis 27:46, and Rebekah said to Isaac, I am weary of my life because of the daughters of Heth, that is, these Hittite women. If Jacob take a wife of the daughters of Heth, such as these which are the daughters of the land which Esau married, what good shall my life do me? Now in Genesis 28 verse 1 we are told this. And Isaac called Jacob and blessed him and charged him and said to him, you shall not take a wife of the daughters of Canaan. So very clearly, the genealogy of Adam down through Jesus Christ cannot be polluted with the seed of these Edomites, Hittites, Canaanites, and Kenites. This is clearly what the Bible is telling us. And of course, recalling Deuteronomy chapter 7, we are told very explicitly, the Israelites shall not make marriages with the Canaanites. Esau violated that law. He violated God's law of intermarrying with the Canaanites, and therefore he was cast out from among the presence of the Israelites from that day forward. Now, continuing with the genealogy of the Canaanites in the land of Canaan. And we know that these Canaanites eventually migrated south of Palestine, because Palestine was the area that was occupied by the Israelites, and the Israelites had driven these Canaanites to the south. Now we recall that in Genesis chapters 27 and 28 we are told that Esau married into these Canaanite people. Now chapter 36 of the book of Genesis gives us the entire clan of these Edomite people. I'm just going to quote the first and last verses of Genesis 36. I encourage you to read this chapter for yourself and to familiarize yourself with these people. Verse 1, now these are the generations, that is the descendants of Esau, who is Edom. Esau took his wives of the daughters of Canaan. And this is a fairly long chapter giving the entire genealogy of the Edomite people. So folks, don't let anybody tell you that the genealogy of the Edomites is not contained in the scripture. And the last verse of this chapter says, he is Esau, the father of the Edomites. So now we have traced in the scriptures the fact that the Edomites are descended from Cain. Their genealogy is as such. From Cain we have derived the Kenites, and from Kenites we have derived the Canaanites, and from the Canaanites we have derived the Edomites. Now the rabbis of Judaism will tell you that these people no longer exist, or they have been wiped off the face of the earth. This is not true, because it's very clear from Scripture in the Old Testament, the Apocrypha, the New Testament, and from secular history, that these Edomites continued into Christ's day, and in fact they continue in today's times as well, because we know them as the Sephardic Jews. We know them absolutely as the Sephardic Jews, because these Edomites were the ones who became citizens of Judea, not members of the tribe of Judah, mind you, but citizens of Judea, when John Hyrcanus merged the two nations of Judah and Edom into one single nation, henceforth known as Judea. Okay, so Judah, the land of Judah was always known as simply Judah, and the land of Edom was known as Edom. But when those two nations were combined, and this happened in the year 125 BC, under King John Hyrcanus of Judah. This is all recorded in the book of Josephus, that when these two nations were merged together, which was a violation of Deuteronomy 7, that our people should not intermarry with Canaanites, and we know that these Edomites are simply the Canaanites renamed as Edomites, that John Hyrcanus violated the law of Yahweh by intermarrying, beginning this process of intermarrying. Now this process took quite a while, and it wasn't very widespread, but it was always widespread among the leading tribes, because what you have, the leading people, because what you have even today, for example, the House of Rothschild, which is a Jewish banking house, ever since 1815, they have intermarried with British royalty. And British royalty, as we saw from part 1, are descended from the House of David. So that what the Jewish bankers are doing today is doing exactly what Esau did. He married into the line of Canaanites. The Jewish house of Rothschild is in fact the Edomite Canaanite house that we're talking about here in Scriptures, and as we know from part 1 as well, that the Adamic Israelites are the Caucasian people. So again, the genealogy of the Canaanite people: Cain, Kenites, Canaanites, Edomites, and these Edomites are the ones who under Herod took over the land of Judah by force, by assassination, by sabotage. All this history is contained in the works of Josephus very explicitly. And now I'm going to quote from the book of Tobit in the Apocrypha, because I'm going to verify for you. And this is one of the reasons why the Apocrypha have been removed from the Bible. Here is what Tobit has to tell his son, who they were Israelites, folks. Be on guard, my son, against fornication, and above all, choose your wife from the race of your ancestors. Do not take a foreign wife. Again, repeating the command of Deuteronomy 7, repeating the commands of Ezra and Nehemiah not to take foreign wives. Do not take a foreign wife, one not of your father's tribe, for we are descendants of the prophets. My son, remember that back to the earliest days, our ancestors, Noah, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, all chose wives from their kindred. They were blessed in their children, and their descendants will possess the land. So you too, my son, must love your kindred. Do not be too proud to take a wife from among the women of your own nation. Such pride breeds ruin and disorder, and the waster declines into poverty. Waste is the mother of starvation. Now let me tell you something, folks. Today we have a repetition of what's happened in the days of Judah and their merging with Edom. We have race mixing going on today, and we can see all of our Western societies declining into poverty and starvation precisely because our abilities as the Anglo-Saxon Caucasian Israelite race, the builder race, the people who have constructed civilization on every part of this globe, when we pollute our seed line or dilute our seed line, that dilutes our abilities and capabilities. And we see that whenever our people have done so, as in Spain, when the Moors invaded and polluted our seed line, as is happening in Europe with the Arab invasion of Britain, we can see chaos and catastrophe coming about in those nations. In Germany, with the Turks taking over and race mixing with the Caucasian Israelites of Germany. We see it here in America with blacks and Mexicans. Now we see that our nations, our white Anglo-Saxon nations, are being destroyed because those people hate us. They do not love us. They want what we have, but they do not have the ability to maintain the civilization we have created. And whenever our people give up their dominion, as is happening, as has happened in southern Africa, where the Judeo-Christian ministry has encouraged the gospel of race mixing, we see that those South African white people are being slaughtered, hacked to pieces by the very people whom they sustained and empowered and made prosperous during the years of apartheid. During the years of apartheid, the white race made the black race prosperous. Those blacks had never achieved a level of prosperity, where they had never had single-family homes. They had never had cars. They had never had neighborhoods of their own. They had never had jobs in which they can make $1,000 a year. At the same time, the communists in